In 1969, a 6-year-old boy ran into the forest for a simple game and was never seen again. For William's family, Father's Day was more than just a holiday. It was a tradition. Every year, the men of the family would spend time together outdoors, away from towns, away from noise, returning to the mountains where generations before them had gathered. In the summer of 1969, William C. Tosdiordi, known to everyone as Bill DeCeo, traveled into the mountains with his father Clyde and his two sons, 9-year-old Douglas and 6-year-old Dennis. Their destination was Spence Field, a high mountain meadow over 5,000 feet above sea level. Long ago, cattle grazed there during summer months. By 1969, it was part of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the heart of the Appalachian Range. But for Bill's family, it was more than a park. It was sacred ground. Dennis had never spent a night camping far from home before. This trip was special, his first real hike, his first chance to feel grown up. He was small for his age and slightly behind in school, but in the forest, he moved with surprising confidence. From infancy, he had been carried along mountain trails. He grew up among trees, streams, and ridges. Dennis was energetic and quick, fearless and curious, with wavy chestnut hair and large brown eyes that reflected the world around him. June 14th, 1969 was meant to be a perfect day. The family was together in nature. Father's Day would be celebrated the next day. Dennis's birthday was only a week away. Everything felt right. After lunch, the men sat on a grassy slope, talking quietly about past hikes and future plans, casually watching the children play. The boys ran through the meadow, shouting and laughing. Dennis was wearing a red t-shirt, green shorts, and brown Oxford shoes, an outfit everyone would remember later. At some point, the boys decided to play a game. They planned to sneak around the adults and jump out at them from the bushes. Douglas and 2 other boys ran south, laughing and stumbling through the grass. Dennis ran northwest, toward the edge of the meadow where open ground faded into forest. It was a simple game, innocent, harmless. 2 or 3 minutes passed. The adults laughed as the boys burst from the bushes, proud of their ambush, but Dennis did not appear. At first, Bill called calmly, "Dennis!" Laughter stopped instantly. He called louder, no answer. Bill began running, first along the trail to the west, checking every turn, then to a nearby shelter. Nothing. Clyde, the grandfather, ran downhill to get help, moving quickly over rocky ground. Above Spence Field, clouds gathered. Dusk fell. Heavy rain began to pour. More than 2 inches fell that evening. Thunderstorms rolled through the mountains. Lightning split the sky. The temperature dropped sharply. Wind lashed the ridges with cold rain. Dennis had no jacket, no food, no protection. They shouted his name until their voices broke, but thunder and rain swallowed every sound. That night became the first night of hell for the Martin family. The next morning, searchers arrived. By noon, more than 240 people were on the mountain. Radios crackled, commands echoed through the forest. Within days, over 1,000 volunteers joined the search. National Guard units arrived, Green Berets, forestry students, Boy Scouts, rescue teams from multiple states. Newspapers across the country printed the story on their front pages. America held its breath. By June 22nd, as many as 1,400 people were involved at the same time. Helicopters lifted soldiers into remote areas and dropped supplies. Aerial teams scanned meadows and ridgelines. On the ground, dogs searched for scent while volunteers combed valleys and slopes. But the weather remained brutal. Fog, rain, and steep terrain slowed everything. And there was another problem, one that would haunt the operation forever. Too many volunteers had no training. They didn't know how to use compasses. They didn't understand search patterns. Potential tracks were trampled under hundreds of boots. Years later, one volunteer admitted, "If there was a chance, we destroyed it ourselves." That sentence became the unspoken summary of the entire search. During the operation, what appeared to be child-sized footprints were discovered, Sautsassen, one barefoot, one wearing a small shoe. It could have been crucial. Instead, amid the chaos, the prints were dismissed, attributed to a Boy Scout, and quickly forgotten. Possible evidence faded into irrelevance. On the day Dennis disappeared, a nearby family reported hearing a strange scream in the forest. Later, they saw a man, unkempt, dirty, clearly not a hiker, moving through the woods. He appeared to be carrying fabric or an object over his shoulder. At first, they didn't connect it to anything, but after learning about the missing child, they contacted authorities. Rumors of abduction spread rapidly. The FBI investigated, but found no physical evidence, no witnesses, no confirmation. Official searches for Dennis Martin were ended on June 29, 1969, 2 weeks after he vanished. Some volunteers returned to the mountains in the months and years that followed. Nothing was ever found. Only questions remained. Theories lost. The simplest explanation, Dennis wandered too far, but the scale of the search makes this difficult to accept. Even in cases of exposure, remains are usually found. Here, nothing was. Wild animals, black bears, and other predators live in the region, but experts agreed an attack would leave signs, torn clothing, blood, disturbed ground. None were found. Abduction, the most unsettling possibility. A scream, a strange man. Too many coincidences. Yet no body, no ransom, no confession, only silence. A hidden fall. The mountains contain countless crevices, sinkholes, and shafts. Dennis may have fallen somewhere inaccessible, but even then, why did no dog ever follow his trail? To lose someone without a trace is a unique form of suffering. If there is a body, there is farewell. If there is a kidnapping, there is hope. But when there is nothing, no clothing, no bone, no proof, life becomes endless waiting. Every knock on the door, every phone call, every report of remains found in the mountains, hope rises, and collapses again. Dennis's parents never recovered. William blamed himself until the end of his life. He returned to the ridges again and again, sleeping outdoors, searching until exhaustion overcame him. In interviews, he repeated the same question: what did I miss? His wife wrote letters to newspapers, to officials, to search organizations, begging for renewed efforts. The replies were polite and final. Years passed, neighbors stopped asking, other children grew older, and the truth became unavoidable. Dennis was not coming home. This tragedy changed search and rescue protocols forever. After 1969, national parks introduced structured grid searches, proper mapping, trained canine units, and coordinated command systems. It became clear, large unorganized crowds do more harm than good, but this lesson came at a terrible cost. In 1985, a ginseng hunter claimed he once saw human bones in the mountains, but waited too long to report it, fearing prosecution for illegal harvesting. When authorities followed him to the site, nothing was found. That was the final lead. 50 years later, this story no longer feels like a mystery to be solved. It is a human tragedy, A child vanished during a simple game, no explanation ever brought peace. The forest kept its secret, and the silence of the mountains proved deeper than anyone could imagine.